He used to think love would make life easier. He thought being needed, wanted, chosen would finally give him peace. But now, he knows better. He's seen what happens when strength becomes a target, not a gift. He's felt the slow erosion of respect, the subtle digs, the constant pressure to prove himself, even after giving everything. This isn't bitterness. This is clarity. So today, we're going to talk about it. Not to blame, but to understand why so many mature men feel dismantled in modern relationships, and how to protect your strength without shutting down your heart. If you've ever felt torn down when you should have been lifted, leave a quiet comment. I protect my peace now. It rarely begins with shouting. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. A sigh that seems harmless, a glance that lingers just a moment too long, a correction in front of friends that stings more than it should, a casual remark like, "That's nice, but you still need to fix the sink," or, "You think you're such a big deal, but you forgot to take out the trash." At first, you brush it off. Maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe you misheard, misunderstood, misread the moment. But over time, these small things add up. They don't feel random anymore. They begin to form a pattern that says, you're not as competent as you thought. You're not as successful as you feel. You're not enough. And the timing? That's what cuts deepest. It happens when you feel most open. You're proud of yourself after a long week, after a hard-earned victory. You're standing taller, smiling wider, feeling like a capable man again. That's when it comes. A comment designed maybe not consciously to pull you back down, to puncture your confidence, to remind you who's in charge. Every victory you celebrate feels like a setup for criticism. Every compliment is followed by a quiet comparison. Every effort you make feels somehow insufficient. This is emasculation. It's subtle but sharp. It cuts deeper than a joke or a simple disagreement, because what it really questions is your very competence, your capability, your manhood itself. You begin to feel it everywhere. At the dinner table, she playfully corrects your story. In front of friends, she teases your ideas just a little too harshly. In private moments, when she points out your flaws right when you're feeling most proud. And here's the trap. It's rarely loud enough to seem cruel. It's rarely obvious enough for you to call it out without seeming too sensitive. It hides under the mask of just teasing or keeping you humble. But inside, you know better. You feel it. In the hesitation before you speak. In the way you downplay your achievements, even to yourself. And over time, this slow erosion begins to matter. It begins to change you. You speak less. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you expect interruption. You share less. Not because you have nothing to celebrate, but because you expect minimization. You hold back. Not because you're unsure, but because you expect criticism. This is what emasculation really looks like. It's not about aggression. It's about a quiet but relentless chipping away of your confidence, especially when you're most open, most generous, most relaxed. And that's why it's so destructive, because it happens exactly when a man lets his guard down, when he's at ease, when he feels safe enough to be vulnerable, when he's celebrating, when he's giving freely, when he's showing up fully as himself. That's when it strikes hardest. It's not just a comment. It's a message repeated over time that says, you're not as capable as you think. Your victories don't count. You're still falling short. And even though she might not intend it, even though she might not fully realize the damage, you feel it. Not in anger, but in withdrawal. Not in rage, but in quiet distance. Not in confrontation, but in fading enthusiasm. This is emasculation. It's slow, it's quiet, but it's powerful. and recognizing it is the first step toward reclaiming your peace, your confidence, your strength. Why would someone who depends on your strength, who is drawn to your stability, who benefits from your competence, try to chip away at the very foundation that holds you steady? It seems illogical. It seems self-defeating. But the truth is older, deeper, more primal than we often admit. Attraction and fear have always lived side by side. Since the beginning of time, women have been drawn to male strength. Not just physical strength, though, that matters, but also strength of resolve, confidence, decisiveness, protection. A man's strength represents safety, security, survival itself. But here's the paradox. That same strength also represents potential danger. History and instinct remind women that men, while protectors, have also been aggressors. The very strength they admire is also the strength that could overpower them. And so, an ancient tension is born. Even when a modern woman feels loved, she may carry this low-level wariness, an unease she can't fully explain. It's not personal. It's evolutionary. It's cellular. Thousands of years of survival have programmed this instinct. Choose a strong man, but make sure he doesn't feel too strong. Rely on him, but manage him. This is where emasculation sneaks in, not as a grand plan, but as a subconscious strategy to reduce her own fear by reducing your confidence. When she questions your decision at the dinner table, when she minimizes your achievement in front of friends, when she teases your confidence exactly when you're feeling most proud, she may not even know why she's doing it. But somewhere inside, at a primal level, she's managing a contradiction. I need his strength, but I fear his power. And our culture, our media, our social norms reinforce this dynamic. Think about how often we see it portrayed. In sitcoms, the strong husband reduced to a lovable fool. In commercials, the competent man shown as clueless, while the woman corrects him with a sigh. It's subtle, but pervasive. It normalizes the idea that women should keep men in check, that men's confidence is dangerous unless softened, that masculinity itself is suspicious unless diluted. And most women aren't consciously participating in this. They're simply absorbing and reflecting the messaging around them, layered on top of deep ancestral instincts. It's attraction, mixed with caution, desire, mixed with distrust. Here's the key insight. It's not about you, personally. It's not always about your actions, your words, or your intentions. It's about a primal tension that predates you, a dynamic between the masculine and the feminine, between protector and protected, between strength and security. When you understand this, you stop taking it so personally. You see it for what it is, an unconscious attempt to manage fear, to maintain control, to soothe an ancient unease. But understanding does not mean accepting disrespect. Understanding is simply clarity. And clarity gives you the power to respond, not react, to stay grounded when her comments sting, to remain calm when her jokes land harder than intended, to lead even when she resists. You don't need to fight back with equal aggression. You don't need to retreat in silence. You simply need to see. This isn't always about you. It's about a tension she can't fully name, but that you, as a mature man, can recognize and navigate with strength and grace. At first, it feels like something you can handle. It's just words. She doesn't mean it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. You brush it off, convincing yourself that you're resilient, that you can rise above it. But slowly, something inside starts to shift. You don't notice it all at once. It happens in small ways, quiet ways. You hesitate before speaking in a group. You check her expression before sharing good news. You hold back your excitement, your opinions, your ideas. And over time, this hesitation becomes a habit. A man who once moved boldly now moves carefully. A man who once spoke with ease now filters every word. You stop leading, not because you're incapable, but because you're tired of being second-guessed. You stop celebrating, not because you have nothing to celebrate, but because joy feels unsafe now. And here's the tragedy. The very qualities that made you attractive, that made you feel alive, begin to fade. Your decisiveness, your energy, your confidence, all slowly erode under the weight of constant minimization. And she notices it too. At first, she might feel relieved, because your softened presence feels less threatening. But soon, resentment creeps in. The strong, steady, decisive man she was once drawn to now seems distant, withdrawn, passive. She might say, "You've changed. You don't lead anymore. You don't show up the way you used to." But she doesn't see that this change is the direct result of those subtle, persistent cuts. She tears you down, and then resents you for being torn down. She diminishes your strength, and then mourns its absence. And the damage isn't just to the relationship. It seeps into every area of your life. At work, you second-guess decisions that you used to make with ease. With friends, you laugh less, engage less, offer less. In private, you stop dreaming, stop setting goals, stop envisioning a future that excites you. You shrink quietly, even if you still look the same on the outside. That's what makes this kind of damage so insidious. There are no bruises, no scars, no obvious signs, but inside, you feel hollowed out, less alive, less clear, less you. And this hidden damage takes a toll that's hard to measure, but impossible to ignore. It drains your energy, your ambition, your capacity to feel truly connected, not just to her, but to life itself. Some men stay in this quiet erosion for years, even decades. Others reach a breaking point and leave, not in anger, but in resignation. I just can't do this anymore. Not because they stopped loving, but because they stopped feeling like themselves. And the saddest part? Most women don't even realize what happened. They're left wondering, where did he go? Why did he pull away? But you know that every dismissive comment, every public correction, every private jab contributed to this slow retreat. The damage is real, it's cumulative, and it's deeply personal. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. You don't have to stay in that erosion. You don't have to shrink. You can reclaim your voice, your energy, your confidence, not through confrontation or bitterness, but through clarity. Recognize the damage for what it is, and honor yourself enough to stop allowing it. The answer isn't bitterness. It isn't lashing out or returning insult for insult. And it certainly isn't surrendering, shrinking further, or quietly absorbing disrespect. The answer is clarity. Clarity about what's happening, why it's happening, and how you will respond as a mature, grounded man. First, recognize emasculation for what it is. Name it quietly in your mind, without rage, without shame. When a comment stings, pause and ask yourself, was that a critique or a cut? Was that feedback or control? Simply seeing it clearly already restores part of your strength. Second, hold your boundary calmly and directly. When she makes a dismissive remark, you don't need to escalate. You simply say, "That felt disrespectful. Please don't speak to me that way." Short, direct, no explanation, no justification. Not every woman will realize what she's doing. Some will be surprised. Others may laugh it off. But your calm firmness sends a message to her and to yourself. I honor myself too much to tolerate casual disrespect. Third, stay centered in your own peace. Her approval isn't the measure of your worth. Her moods aren't your mission to manage. When you stop outsourcing your confidence to someone else's reactions, you reclaim a power many men lose over time. You are not defined by how well she understands you, how quickly she praises you, or how often she affirms you. You are defined by your own integrity, by how well you live according to your own values. Fourth, lead without needing to control. There's a difference between leadership and dominance. You can be strong, steady, clear, without needing to win every argument or prove every point. Real leadership comes from inner calm. You listen carefully, speak clearly, act decisively. You're not pulled into emotional whirlpools, not baited into endless debates, not silenced by passive-aggressive digs. You respond. You don't react. You steer. You don't surrender. Finally understand the primal fear behind her behavior, but don't let it dictate yours. As we explored earlier, some women consciously or unconsciously minimize men's strength because it soothes their ancient internal fears. But knowing this doesn't mean excusing it. You can have compassion without compromising your standards. You can understand without absorbing. You can protect without over-accommodating. The man you want to be, the man you truly are, doesn't disappear when challenged. In fact, this is when your character shines. Clarity doesn't mean coldness. Boundaries don't mean bitterness. Strength doesn't mean shutting down emotionally. It means showing up, fully, calmly, without apology, and without shrinking. You don't need to explain your worth. You simply need to embody it. In every interaction, in every choice, in every response to disrespect, you quietly reaffirm to yourself, I am enough as I am. My strength is not a threat. My presence is peace. And this is where you reclaim your power, not by demanding respect, but by expecting it and by refusing to participate in any interaction where it's absent. At the end of the day, being a mature man isn't about proving yourself endlessly or reacting to every slight. It's about standing firm, calm, clear, grounded. Not every relationship dynamic can be fixed, but every man can reclaim his peace. So if you're over 50, if you felt torn down when you should have been lifted up, know this. You're not bitter. You're just clear. Leave a quiet comment below. I protect my peace now. You don't need to explain it to anyone. You don't need permission. Your strength, your mission, your peace belong to you. And that's what makes you truly masculine.